Good morning, Year 9. Today we're going to be looking at the prompt. You will be writing your first assessment paragraph 2. You'll have to excuse any noise in the background. My 3-year-old is going to help us. Today we're going to be looking at the question, compare the way in which Romeo and Juliet and Tangled explore the idea of loyalty within a family context. So really importantly here, we're looking at the family context. Alright? Family context doesn't mean boyfriends or friends. It specifically talks about those intimate relationships, those household relationships, siblings, parents, parental figures. Alright, so we're going to look specifically at those people within the text. It's also important to note, what does loyalty mean? See, I've already done some of this work for you. Loyalty is here. It's about the trustworthiness of you. How much do you honour and respect your family? And how is that shown? What messages about respecting your family are shown? And in some ways, it's what is more important, loyalty to family or loyalty to self? I've also included in here the concept of compare. This is the most important thing you're going to be doing during this, in that you're going to be looking at what it is to compare. You should know this by now. We've gone over it quite a bit. But you're going to be looking at these texts side by side, and you're going to be finding what is similar and different. So I'm just going to add what is similar and what is different. One second, guys. Hannah, get out of the pantry, please. You're going to hear my child stealing food in a second. All right. Some of the different things that we can talk about. I'm just going to scroll down to a new page. We're going to look at the two texts. Different family relationships within the two texts. You could look at Juliet and her parents. You could look at Romeo and his parents. You could look at Juliet and Tybalt, who's her cousin, because that's family. You could look at Juliet and the nurse, because she is a parental figure. You can't have the cheese and the biscuits, honey. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. All right. Sorry, everyone. You can look at Juliet, Romeo. You could look at Romeo and Tybalt after the wedding. But you must make sure that's after the wedding, because then they actually become relatives. All right. For Tangled, you can look at Rapunzel and Mother Gothel. I'm going to call her Mother G. You could look at Rapunzel and her parents. Remember, you're only writing one paragraph, so you're only going to pick one from each to discuss, and they must be comparative. So you must be able to compare them to one another. So here you'd look at this, you could look at this, you could look at this, you could look at Mother Gothel and Tybalt, Romeo after the wedding, so that's that after Rapunzel realises that she's been betrayed. You could look at with Romeo and Tybalt when he is betrayed, in the sense that Mercutio is murdered. You could look at that. Rapunzel doesn't really have a lot of family in this instance, so really you're going to be looking at one of these two options. For those of you who are willing to sort of stretch their abilities, this is probably the one that's probably harder. Mother Gothel is a lot easier, because we see a lot more of her. That's simply why. We see a lot more of Mother Gothel. So you've got a lot here you could talk about in relation to comparative. All right. If we were to scroll down, we will just quickly deconstruct a few of these very, very quickly for you. I have to actually do inches. I can't do that. All right. So what we will do instead is quickly talk about it. I expect you guys to actually, before you write your paragraph, write up your table of, like I did with the last lesson, and put together your own ideas. This is a double period to write a single paragraph. I do expect you to come up with the ideas and the evidence on your own. Your creativity and individuality in relation to this is one of the marks that you're going to be getting. So please take the time to actually put together your own ideas, and make sure that you have evidence. Guys, you are not being told that you have to work bookless, but we will know if you copy and paste. There is no other school doing this as a comparative to my knowledge, so you won't find anything online that explains it for you. You've got to use your brain. So you might look at betrayal here and disloyalty. If you talked about these two, you might talk about disloyalty and betrayal. If you talk about the nurse, and you might talk about trust. You might talk about breach of that trust. If you were to talk about the Romeo and his parents with Rapunzel and her parents, that love. Sorry, this is very messy, guys, but if you're listening, you should understand it. If you're just taking a picture, well, you're not going to understand it. Love, need for independence. All within there. All right, so question, just back to it up again. I've already given you synonyms and antonyms. See synonyms here, antonyms here. And what it is to compare. So I'm hoping that you understand what's going on. You can email Mr. Park and myself questions. I apologise that this isn't as planned out as intended. My family is sick, so I do apologise for that. I really hope that you guys understood what I was sort of getting at here, that you need to take these ideas and create a paragraph about loyalty. So loyalty, again, we're looking at trust and honour and doing what is right for the family. And does that happen? I want you to really think about, does this stay as a permanent thing? You might ask yourself, who is it most important to be loyal? Is it most important to be loyal to? So these are those big ideas. You might ask, so these are, you don't have to do all of these, but you might just be asking yourself some of these questions for your big idea statements. Does loyalty overpower the sense of right and wrong? All right, so these are some of the big ideas. Please take some time to plan out your paragraph. It is due at the end of the double period. It is not due at the end of the day. It is due at the end of the double period. So you've had 9 minutes with me. You're going to need to do at least 5 minutes to 10 minutes planning on your own, and then you have the rest of the time to write your paragraph. Please make sure you've got proper spelling, grammar, and punctuation. This is assessed. It will be on your reports. Thank you.